What's up, everybody? Thanks as always for supporting the show. It would mean a lot to me if you would take a second to scroll down and hit that subscribe button to the Hoops Tonight YouTube channel, and then follow me on social media on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter so you guys don't miss any of our content over the course of this season. All right, let's talk some basketball. We are going to do a deep dive on the Boston Celtics. So they had a 51-point win over the Indiana Pacers yesterday. As of now, for the season, they are first in offensive rating, scoring an astonishing 125 points per 100 possessions. I'm going to give you guys a shit ton of numbers here in the next 10 minutes. And my goal here is just to help you guys understand statistically how good the Celtics have been, not just within the concept of this particular season and their peers, but even in the all-time sense. This team is dominating at a crazy level right now. They're seventh in defensive rating, allowing just 105 points per 100 possessions, and they are first in net rating. They're outscoring teams by 20 points per 100 possessions, 20.1 points to be exact. So let's talk about both ends of the floor. We're going to start on the offensive end. And for me, everything with the Celtics team starts with getting out and transition off of stops and turnovers. This is why I've been such a big, proponent of them getting back to their defensive identity from the 2022 season. Like, that's when they're at their best. This team, when they get to late playoff scenarios, they're not going to be as good of a half-court offense as some of the other teams in the league. So they need to have part of their identity being the best defense in the league, trying to get out and transition as much as possible. They had 36 points in transition against the Pacers. For the season, they are averaging 28 points in transition per game, which is the third most in the league. The Hawks are at number one. That was the team that I begged to run more in transition over the summer, and they have been doing so. And then the Thunder at number two. But the Celtics are scoring 1.23 points per transition play as well. So they're third in the league in transition points per game and sixth in transition efficiency. It's a huge part of their offensive success right now. They're running the rim, they're running to the corners as shooters, and then they have trailing three-point shooters. And so they just put their heads down and try to get to the rim if they can, and then they make really good reads out of that for wide open threes. And then they've been a devastating matchup attacking team. They're scoring 26 points per game in ISOs and post-ups, including passes. 13 points per game in ISO, that's the fifth most in the league. 1.13 points per possession, sixth best in the league in terms of efficiency. 13 points per game out of the post, that's the second most in the league, only to the Nuggets. 1.21 points per possession, which is the fourth most efficient. So they've been really good beating individual matchups in the post and in ISO. And then they've been really, really efficient in pick and roll. 32 points per game in pick and roll. That's the 14th most. So not a heavy volume, but 1.06 points per possession. That's the fifth highest mark for efficiency in pick and roll this season. Porzingis and Horford as ball screeners. That's adding this other pick and pop element to a higher level than they've had in the past. They're scoring 9 points per game out of the roll or pop. That's the eighth most in the league. 1.26 points per roll man possession, which is the eighth most efficient. Credit to Porzingis here. He's been one of the best roll men in the league. 1.5 points per roll man possession. Think about how insane that is. He's good for 1.5 points every time they pass him the ball in the roll. He's shooting 75% in effective field goal percentage, thanks in large part to those pick and pop threes. He has scored 21 points out of the roll so far this season. That's fifth most in the league for a ball screener behind Şengün, Vucevic, Nikola Jokic, and Joel Embiid. As a team, the Celtics are shooting 40% from three, over 40%. That's the fifth highest mark in the league. They're making 17 threes per 100 possessions. That's the second most in the league. They are just good at absolutely everything. They're even eighth in the league in offensive rebounds per 100 possessions. Like, I can't find opportunity there. They're just good at everything. They shoot the ball well. They attack the rim well. They attack out of the post well. They attack isolation matchups well. They score and pick and roll well. They run in transition really well. They kill you on the offensive glass. They are good at everything. And it all starts with Jayson Tatum at the forefront. If you guys remember, I said before the season, Tatum can win MVP, but he needs to have this crazy statistical season, and the Celtics have to win just a shit ton of games because everything's going to be graded on a curve, and Tatum's curve is he has the most talented supporting cast in the league, right? Well, so far in the 4-0 start, he's averaging 30 points, 9 rebounds, and 4 assists, 67% true shooting. And I want to credit 3 specific things here so far that are monumentally improved over last year. First of all, he's making his pull-up jump shot. He's converting them at 56% in effective field goal percentage. He was at 40% last year. A very bad pull-up shooting season last season. He's finishing at the rim better than ever. He's shooting 75% at the rim this year compared to 65% last year. And he's added a reliable post game. Last year, he generated just 2 points per game out of the post, including passes, 2 points per game. This year, he's at 5.3. And on those possessions, he's got an efficiency of 1.24 points per possession, including passes. So more than twice as impactful as a post player this year than he was in last season. And he's been the 8th most efficient post-up player in the league so far to run at least 10 post-ups. So Jayson Tatum, for all intents and purposes, is playing like an MVP, and even within the context of this talented roster. And again, like this, there's a very specific reason why that efficiency matters. He averaged 30 points per game last year. This year, he's averaging 30 points per game on significantly lower usage. This is his lowest usage rate in 3 years. It's at 30.6. That's pretty standard for a star. Last year, he was 32.7. The year before that, 32.1. Why does that matter? This is a large group of players that all need touches. You're fitting in Porzingis as a much more aggressive offensive option. Like you've already seen Jaylen Brown, for instance. He's taken a little bit of a hit in terms of like his offensive aggression. He's down to 23 points per game after averaging 27 last year. He's having to do a lot more work as a slasher and as a spot-up player, which has helped. Like Jaylen Brown's having one of his best spot-up seasons ever, 1.15 points per possession, just because he's driving closeouts a lot. He's contributing with pull-up three-point shooting, particularly in transition. He's 6 for 11 on pull-up threes so far. But he's taking some sacrifice in terms of offensive touches. Well, so is Jayson Tatum. He's just so damn efficient that he's still averaging 30 points per game, just like he did last year, which was his career high. And so I think like it's hard to overstate how good Jayson Tatum's been and how easy it's made things for the Celtics offensively, especially with, like, again, Porzingis is averaging 19 points per game. You got to fit that into the whole mix of things at a certain point. Now, one thing offensively is the bench guys haven't been shooting super, super well, right? Like Peyton Pritchard hasn't shot as well as he did in preseason. Al Horford has struggled with his transition to the bench, but it hasn't mattered because the starters have been that good. The Holiday, Derek White, Jaylen Brown, Jayson Tatum, Kristaps Porzingis lineup so far, 72 minutes, 126 offensive rating, 89 defensive rating. That's like unbelievably good. Outscoring opponents by 37 points per 100 possessions. That is the very best 5-man lineup in the NBA to play at least 55 minutes so far this year. They're just kicking everyone's ass. And that's why I feel pretty strongly that at least within the regular season context, they're going to run away in the standings. NBA fans, the wait is over. Basketball is back, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA, is celebrating with an unbeatable offer. New customers can score $200 instantly in bonus bets for throwing down $5 on the NBA. Win or lose, it doesn't matter. You'll start the season with an instant dub. And with DraftKings parlays, everyone's got a shot at an even bigger basketball win. String together multiple bets from the same game or build your parlay across multiple games for a shot at making your payday even sweeter. Basketball's more fun when you're in on the action. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code HOOPS. That's HOOPS. New customers can get $200 in bonus bets instantly for betting just $5. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code HOOPS. The crown is yours. And again, that defense element, that's the part that I want to emphasize here. That 89 defensive rating, that's the type of number that has me feeling like this group is closer to that 2022 group in terms of their defensive identity. You could see it on the screen. Tatum and Brown in particular are playing a much better defense than they did last year. As a team, here's some defensive stats for you guys. 7th in defensive rating, 3rd in half-court defense, according to Cleaning the Glass, allowing just 86.2 points per 100 possessions. They've been the very best rebounding team in the league, grabbing 55.4% of available rebounds. They are the 3rd best paint defense, allowing just 43.7 points per 100 possessions in the paint. They're allowing the 9th fewest fast break points per 100 possessions. The 2 big areas of opportunity on their defense right now is the three-point line. They're allowing 12.3 made threes per 100 possessions. That's the 17th most in the league, or 17th least in the league, I should say. And they could also stand to force a lot more turnovers given the amount of athleticism they have. They're forcing just 11.5 turnovers per 100 possessions, which is the third worst mark in the league. Again, with the transition offense that they already have, supplementing that by forcing more turnovers, that could go a long way as well. I think they're capable of it being even more disruptive than they have been. But they're hitting several key markers that make me feel a lot better about this team than last year's team. The defense, at least with the starters, the defense looks more like it did 2 years ago. Jayson Tatum looks like he's made strides as a half-court shot creator, improved pull-up jump shooting, and a much more dynamic post-up attack. And then Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis have been seamless fits on both ends of the floor. This team, again, like the same question marks will be there in terms of their half-court execution when we get down the line. The better their defense is, the more margin for error they'll have in that area. But I feel pretty good about my preseason prediction that the Celtics are going to run away with the regular season. I think they're going to win the standings by at least 5 games. I think they're going to be able to comfortably get away with the number 1 overall seed. And I mean, I'm excited to see them play some tougher matchups down the line, but they've passed with flying colors so far here early in the season.